Good afternoon. This is Dr. Holly Hamilton here at the Turks and Caicos Islands Airports Authority, coming with your weekly tropical weather briefing for today, Friday, August 30th at 1 p.m., which will will be valid through Friday, September 6th. So looking at the surface analysis, we still have that high pressure sitting in the Atlantic, remaining to be the dominant feature in the region. Um, And then we have three tropical waves. We have one here in the central Caribbean, then another one here in the central Atlantic, and a third one here just coming off of Africa in the eastern tropical Atlantic. These two waves are areas of interest right now that the National Hurricane Center is monitoring. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the later slides. But we also see here some surface troughing, and that's also being enhanced with the upper level trough, and that's enhancing some shower and thunderstorm activity over the Bahamas right now. So we can see that more clearly here in the satellite imagery. Some thunderstorms and shower activity happening over the northwest and central Bahamas. Um, Turks and Caicos is located right here. And then we have that tropical wave here in that central Caribbean Sea. And then the two area of interest, the one here in the central Atlantic, that tropical wave that we're monitoring, and the other one is off here, off of the coast of Africa. So looking at the 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook, we see those two areas of interest. The first one would be the one in the central Atlantic. Right now, that has a low formation chance over the next 48 hours, but a medium formation chance over the next 7 days of 40%. And so that tropical wave is expected to move towards the Lesser Antilles, approaching the Lesser Antilles by Monday, and then continuing on into the Caribbean Sea. It's expected to develop into a tropical depression later next week, but it's expected to stay more south in the Caribbean Sea as that subtropical ridge keeps that easterly flow um, towards the western Caribbean. So this is still pretty early in the game, so obviously we'll be monitoring that wave and how it develops. But for right now, we're pretty much in the clear. And one thing I would like to also note and remind that the hatched area here that we see here on the graphic represents the area where the National Hurricane Center forecasters anticipate the system to develop. It doesn't dictate the track of the system. Those products are only produced when the system actually becomes a tropical cyclone, a closed system. So right now, when you see this hatched area, it just represents where they anticipate this system to form into a tropical cyclone. Looking at the second area of interest, that tropical wave that was just west of the African coast, located here, and is expected to move further into the eastern tropical Atlantic, central Atlantic, and develop somewhere in this region here. Right now, we're looking at a 20% low chance of formation going into 7 days. So looking into 5 days, looking at the winds and waves, the conditions that we'll experience over the next 5 days here in the area, specifically in Turks and Caicos Islands. We have that high pressure that we saw in the surface analysis. We see that high pressure centered here in the Atlantic, and that's supporting easterly flow across the region right now. Um, so going into the weekend, we're going to expect moderate to fresh easterly winds. So that's about 15 to 20 knots going across the region, and wave heights of around 3 to 6 feet. And we're going to see this trend continue into the weekend. So going into Sunday, pretty much the similar situation. We see that high pressure beginning to shift a bit eastward, north and eastward. And then Monday, again, the high pressure shifting a little bit, and then we see the winds take more of a southeasterly turn, and again, still moderate to fresh, and wave heights increase a little bit, 4 to 6 feet. and the winds and waves continue around that same trend, moderate to fresh, 4 to 6 feet into mid next week. I would also like to note that precipitation, as that wave enters into the Caribbean, will bring some moisture with it as well. So we can expect some precipitation early into the work week next week, so Monday, Tuesday. And the pressure gradients will increase a bit with that high pressure and that tropical wave. So again, seeing increasing of winds 15 to 20 knots. But so just to remember, we have those two areas of interest, those two tropical waves that we're monitoring right now. Just keep monitoring the situation yourself. Keep looking out for the updates coming from whether it's the Bahamas Department of Meteorology or also the Turks and Caicos Islands National Weather Service. As I always say, we put out a public weather forecast Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the Turks and Caicos Islands. Follow us on our various platforms and also subscribe to our WhatsApp broadcast channel so that you get the notifications in terms of what's happening real time with weather in Turks and Caicos Islands. So with that, this is Holly Hamilton from Turks and Caicos Islands Airports Authority, Turks and Caicos Islands National Weather Service, and I wish you a pleasant weekend.